If you're somebody who is led by their emotions, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what emotional command is and how you can use emotional command to lead your life more powerfully. Now, emotions, everybody feels them. I'm a very emotional person, yet from the outside looking in, you wouldn't be able to tell because I have full emotional command and control my emotions. Remember, emotions, they are data. When you're feeling a certain emotion, that's data, it's feedback. It's not an instruction, it's not a command. When you start to view them in this way, you're no longer led by them. You no longer react to your emotions. Instead, you feel them. And then once you've felt them, you can think, all right, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Instead of reacting in the moment. So if I'm angry and I want to smash up my keyboard because I'm feeling that anger, I can sit back, I can feel the anger, I can think, all right, this isn't an instruction. This is something has triggered me. What is that? I can now have that introspection and I can have that self awareness. And when I have that awareness, because remember, if you are not aware of something, you can't change it. So in this case, if I'm feeling angry and something has triggered me and I recognize that, I can now think, okay, I can take a moment, I can take a deep breath, and then I can decide what I'm going to do rather than react to what the anger is trying to get me to do. If you're led by your emotions, you're led by the moment. 1 second you can be sad, 1 second you can be happy, you can be tired, you can feel lazy. And if we're always going by how we feel, our life is going to be like a roller coaster. We're not really going to be able to live a life that is powerful, a life that is authentic, and a life that is, above all else, serving us. The difference in emotions, it shouldn't dictate your behavior. You should be able to choose your response instead of reacting automatically. And that is internal leadership. You should be in the driver's seat even when the road is rocky. A lot of people confuse what emotional strength really is. They think that being positive, calming yourself down, only feeling good emotions is emotional strength. And that's not really true. What real emotional strength is feeling any given emotion and still having control. What does it mean for somebody to be brave or courageous? It's not the absence of danger, right? It's there to be danger, there to be a scary moment, but they still go for it. That's what makes somebody brave, that's what makes somebody courageous. If there is no danger, if there's nothing to be brave about, that's not real bravery. It's the same with emotions. You're always going to have to confront a storm. Life is made out of problems. It's not about getting rid of the storm. It's about being in the storm and still be able to lead yourself through it. It's not about getting rid of the storm. It's not about getting rid of the emotions. It's about leading yourself. That's real emotional strength. If you're always waiting to be positive and you can only lead yourself through positive emotion, that is not emotional strength. That is emotional dependence. It's not emotional command and it's not emotional strength. If you're somebody that is always waiting for a positive feeling to come before they act, if you're always waiting to feel better before you take action, you're never going to go anywhere because you're going to be stuck and you're going to be completely reliant on a given moment. If you wake up one day and you feel lazy, you're going to lay in bed and you're going to doom scroll and you're going to be like, oh, you know what, I'm going to wait. But waiting, there's no guarantee for a positive emotion to appear. Waiting to feel better is how most people end up being stuck. And life, it simply doesn't pause and wait for you to feel better. The world keeps spinning regardless of how you feel. I used to put off important tasks, things that I really wanted to do, whether that was going to the gym or starting a new project, because I didn't feel good in the moment. I woke up, I might have not had enough sleep, or I just wasn't in the mood, I wasn't feeling positive, or I wasn't feeling happy. And I realized that if I keep waiting for the right moment, first of all, there isn't any right moment, right? You can decide when that right moment is, and that is simply when you act. You don't have to wait for a positive emotion to invoke a sense of urgency. If you've got something to do and you're feeling negative and you still do it, first of all, you're going to feel so much more confident about yourself and you're going to be so much more reliable and you're not going to keep self-sabotaging yourself. I realized that I had to have emotional command because my feelings were running the show. They were running my life. My productivity, my life, it was all dependent on how I'd feel in the moment. And like I said, a lot of the time you're not going to feel like doing something. I don't feel like going to the gym today, but I'm going to do it anyway because I've said to myself, that is something that I'm going to do and I've committed to this. If I listen to my emotions, that's not going to happen. It's that simple. If your output, if your accomplishments are all depending on how you feel, your life is going to become inconsistent. And remember, inconsistency, that's going to destroy your confidence, it's going to destroy your self respect, your identity, your trust in yourself. Because if you can't even trust yourself to be consistent, how can you trust yourself to become somebody who keeps to their word? Because if your word only matters depending on how you feel, and how you feel changes every day, you're never going to be able to honor your word. You're never going to be able to be consistent. You're never going to be able to accomplish your full potential. If you do not have emotional command, you're going to wake up, you're going to start your day already negotiating with yourself. You're going to have small emotions able to derail entire days. 5 minutes of an emotion is going to stop 24 hours of productivity. And that is going to lead to a derailment of weeks, months, years, and you're going to be stuck in the same place. You're going to avoid hard conversations because of how you feel. You're going to chase comfort, distraction, reassurance, and you're going to always start and stop whatever task you have based on those emotions. Above all else, you're going to overthink instead of act. Anytime you know you should be doing something, you're going to think about, what if that doesn't work out? What if I try and I fail? Instead of acting, you'll know what you need to do, but you won't do it because you're dwelling on your emotions and you're allowing them to dictate what you do and if you do it. And I know what it's like. There have been times where I am completely capable to do something, but because I didn't feel a positive emotion, because I felt negative in the moment, or I was overthinking, I was unreliable to myself because I didn't follow through. Because I was waiting. I was always waiting to feel good before I started. And this caused me so much internal frustration because I knew that I was not unlocking my full potential and I wasn't being consistent. And this really tore me up inside. When I learned to develop emotional command, my life changed completely. I stopped asking myself, how do I feel before acting? It didn't matter. I would act anyway. It doesn't matter if I was happy, sad, frustrated, overthinking. I started to act from identity. I knew that I was somebody who was capable, and that's all I needed to know in order for me to act. I started to look at emotions as information instead of instructions. I started to trust myself more because I knew that I was always going to follow through, regardless of the emotional roller coaster I was going through. I could wake up tomorrow, I would feel negative and I would still do it. I could wake up the day after, I would feel happy and I would still do it. It was always consistency and following through. It proved to myself I wasn't just capable, but I was somebody who was able to be consistent. When I developed emotional command, confidence, it became earned. It wasn't forced anymore because I was confident that if I wake up tomorrow and I had a certain emotion, I would still follow through. It doesn't matter whether that emotion was positive, negative. It doesn't matter what happened in my life. What stayed consistent was my consistency. It might not seem like a big deal to you, but every time you betray yourself because of an emotion, because of something in the moment, a temporary feeling, deep down, you know that you're betraying yourself. Deep down, you know, and you start to see yourself as somebody who's not reliable because you're proving that. You're proving that by not following through. You're proving that by not being consistent. Something that changed my life completely and unlocked that full emotional command to me was the moment that I realized I do not need to feel good to move. I do not need motivation. I simply need command over my own emotions. And in order to have command of my own emotions, I need to realize emotions are data, it's feedback. They are not instructions. When I realized that leadership, it starts internally before it ever shows up externally. Because when you lead yourself from inside, your actions, the things external to us, they become reality. Think about it. If you woke up tomorrow and you removed your emotion as a requirement, how would you live? If you woke up tomorrow and you knew, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what happens in your life, you're still going to accomplish X, Y, Z, you're still going to stick true to your word, how would you view yourself? How would your life look like 6 months from now if you did that every single day? Who would you become if you stopped negotiating with your feelings? And remember, it's not your fault if you're feeling a certain way. Difficult things can happen in real life, but it is absolutely your responsibility, even if it's not your fault.